Hey guys, how we doing? Welcome to another chat show here on Buzzing Pattaya and to today's discussion. And that is, what has COVID really done to the city? And you know, over the last 2 years we've been through some incredibly tough times and we're still far from out of the woods yet, and we've still got a lot more things to cover. But I want to just go through over the last 2 years the impact that it's had, the changes that have gone on here in the last 2 years, and the significance of those changes and what will be the future of our wonderful city here. You know, people come over here on holiday, they often look around and say, oh, you know, this has gone, that's gone. And we kind of always refer back to what things used to be like, rather than looking forward and thinking, well, how can we change and what's the new future going to be? But one thing is for certain, it's definitely not over. It's definitely going to be still a destination that you want to come and have fun and enjoy yourself. It's just a little bit away from where it used to be. Well, in fact, it's a long way away from where it used to be. And there's still a bit of a mountain that we've got to climb. So, during this video, I'm going to show you some old footage that I got over the last 2 years. You'll see a lot of soys that are boarded up and closed up and stuff like that. So I want to refer you back to those. I'll try and mix it up with a bit of up-to-date content as well, so you can compare. And what I'd like to do is ask you guys, you know, where do you see Pattaya next year? That's the one I want to ask you. Not now, not in a few months, but where do you see Pattaya next year? In 2023, what do you think? Will you be coming out here? Will you come over and still continue to enjoy what this city has to offer? Or, in some cases, is it done and dusted, and for you, the future is not Pattaya, the future is a different venue altogether, a different country? What do you think, guys? Where do you stand with things? All right, so let's cast our mind back, back into when it first started. You know, April, May in 2020, we went from having roughly 10 million visitors to 0. And it was a really difficult time because obviously there was a lot of impact going on, not just here, but around the world. There was so many different things happening, so many different precautions being put into place. There was a lot of uncertainty, and certainly there was a great deal of the unknown of what to expect. And so when we had it hit us, and when we were part and package of what had to be the future, what they did was we installed various things. So like a curfew, for instance. You know, I'd never ever thought I would experience going through a curfew and being told what time I was allowed to leave my premises and what time I had to be back. But they did it, and you know, they put the curfew in place. They made it very public, a lot of warnings to stay inside, only make essential journeys. And effectively, it was quite scary because a lot of people were uncertain as to what was the real problem and what was this situation that we were just about to embrace and go through. So they were making it very, very clear that you had to make only essential journeys, scaremongering maybe you would call it. We had to wear masks. Now, for the Thai people, that wasn't really a massive change because a lot of Thai people, particularly on the motorbikes, they wear masks anyway. But in this instance, it was becoming more of a mandatory requirement that when you went out, you had to wear a mask. And because of the scare factor, because of the worry that was going on, what ultimately happened was, in fact, that you couldn't go into many premises, if any whatsoever, without wearing a mask. And even now, even to this day, right now, as we speak, you walk into some places like 7-Eleven, the Terminal 21s, the big shopping malls, you are expected to wear a mask right now. Some people choose not to. There's not massive uproar about it if you choose not to wear a mask, but certainly you get a lot of glances and people will be looking at you. They encourage social distancing. There was this massive amount of yellow flicker tape being placed on the floor, telling you where to stand, how far apart you needed to stand. There was lots of these conditions being put at us at a very short period of time. And of course, all this uncertainty, all of the unknown, it made it very, very difficult because people weren't really sure what was really happening, only that there was a lot of changes coming on. And of course, the most devastating situation was the fact they shut everything down. The restaurants, the gymnasiums, bars, schools, you know, tourist attractions, even walking on the beach, believe it or not, all of these things were closed. The only thing that you could do was go to do your essential shopping. That was where we were. They banned the sale of alcohol. And I understand in some respects why, because I guess what they were thinking was if people were drinking and they were under the influence, maybe they would disregard the social distancing, maybe they would disregard the curfew. You know, all those kind of situations may have been presented if you were under the influence. So I kind of understood that part, but again, it was just another part of what was a very worrying, very testing time ahead. Now, because travel was then banned and effectively you couldn't come into the country, you know, it made it very, very difficult. We were walking through what was effectively a ghost town. It really was quite scary, as it was around the rest of the world, not just here. And you know, you walk around the place and you see what was a wonderful, thriving city suddenly becoming a boarded up, complete, desolate graveyard, for want of a better description. And it was very difficult to take all that in. It was very hard to understand and to accept that this was potentially and possibly going to be the new normal. Originally, we were told it was going to be for 2 weeks here. And, you know, for 2 weeks, you can kind of stomach that. You can kind of absorb that kind of an impact and think, yeah, okay, it's 2 weeks. You know, we can get through this. Once we're through it, once we're the other side, we'll just resume normality. But it wasn't 2 weeks. It was, in fact, over 2 years. And that in itself has been an incredible and very, very difficult time for businesses all around the country, not just here in Pattaya, but all around Thailand. Because it lasted 2 years, it had a massive effect. And some effects now that we will never recover from, and some effects that were short term, and some effects that we still aren't really quite sure what the outcome of these will be. Obviously, there was naturally a lot of job losses. You know, all the girls that were working in the bar industry, the service staff that were providing you with service in the industry, as well as restaurants and hotels, all the hotel staff, all the tourist attractions, you know, all these tourist attractions relying on some of those 10 million visitors, everybody lost their income. And unlike many parts in the world, there was very, very little support in terms of financial support from the governing bodies. What happened was some bosses did try their best. Bosses were trying very hard to offer free accommodation and to give the staff some kind of leeway. Some even offered a reduced pay to try and keep them in pocket while they were going through what we considered to be only a short-term temporary closure. But most of them got nothing. Most people here, most of the Thai people ended up going back home up to their villages with absolutely nothing left. Food handouts. I never thought for a millisecond that during my lifetime I would see queues of people, literally hundreds long, waiting to be fed, trying to get some food because they'd lost everything. I never thought I would experience that. You know, when I was a kid at school, you remember going like your history lessons and they were talking about when the wars and stuff were going on, but you never ever really thought in this modern world that we live in right now that we would see that here. Well, I never personally. And you know, I even participated in that myself. And for 12 weeks, we went out feeding people, but not on the streets, but in the remote areas. And the reason I chose the remote areas was because people were, in many ways, and unfortunately, were kind of abusing the free food handouts that were in the center of the city. They would drive from one handout to the next, to the next, to the next. We've even seen like taxi drivers taking their tabards off, going into the queue, getting their food, putting their tabards on, putting the food under the seat and riding away. So what I chose to do was to go out and away from that situation, actually take food to people that we knew were desperately in need of it. But the point was, never ever did I think in a million years I'd see a situation like we went through where people had absolutely nothing and were begging for food. July the 1st, 2020, things reopened. And you know, it was a bit of a relief because we thought, oh, that's good, at least now we're stepping forwards. And kind of almost normality was slowly resuming. You know, things were starting to get back on their feet. And that was until the new year. And unfortunately, on December the 30th, they made the decision to close down everything yet again. And that, in my opinion, was a fatal blow. It really was a fatal blow. For the simple reason being is that a lot of these businesses were anticipating a busy Christmas, a busy New Year. They'd bought in extra supplies, extra stock, things that they knew that they would need if it was busy. And the day before, they had the carpet pulled from under their feet. And If I'm being honest, I thought that was a little bit naughty. I thought if they could, they should have notified us way before to allow people to not go out and spend money on the understanding that they thought they were going to get more customers. I thought they could have handled that a little bit better, if I'm being truthful. But unfortunately, that wasn't the way it was. And what happened was, on the Christmas, literally the day on the 30th, that's it, we're back into the lockdown again, everywhere's got to close, and it was a devastating impact on the industry and the city centre. So what's happened since then? What's been the effect here in Pattaya? Where has things changed? What's been going on? Well, the first thing and the most notable thing was obviously all the girls went home. So all the girls that were working in the industry here, that were working in the bars, they all went back home. Some did stay, but not many. Inevitably, most of them went back home because, again, you know, the businesses that were trying to support them, you know, they have bills to pay, they have no income coming in, and so therefore they had to make tough decisions. So a lot of the girls went back home. We got the introduction of live streaming. Do you remember when you couldn't walk down Soi 6 without about 3 million light rings and girls live streaming, desperate to try and get some money to try and feed their families and look after themselves? And I don't blame them for what they did, I really don't. It was something that they had to do in order to try to survive. And as you know yourself, when the chips are down, you've got to do what it takes to survive, and particularly if you need to eat. But it became a live streaming city. People were going off to random villas and locations, live streaming from there. Girls were up in their rooms, live streaming. It was a live streaming paradise for those people that were on the other side of the world wanting to connect with the girls. But was it? Because right now, one of the biggest impacts that the situation's had the last 2 years is that now a lot of these girls are reluctant to come back, purely because they've now got people sending them money, kind-hearted people like yourself that have been sending money, and now they're thinking, well, hang on, I don't actually need to go back to work because I'm earning as much money, if not more, doing my live streams and sending out my video calls than what they were stood there in the bar. And in fairness to them, you know, if you're going to stand in stilettos dancing on a stage for 8 hours a day, or you're going to sit on your sofa, smile and say, hello, how are you, darling? I miss you. Can you help me out today, please? You know, I don't blame them for the decisions that they've made. But the problem is that it's caused an issue now in the bars, because a lot of the girls are still here, but there's an awful lot that aren't. It devastated and decimated areas. You know, if you look now at like Drinking Street, Soy Made in Thailand, you know, the Simon Beer complexes in Walking Street, you know, all these what were good large bar areas have all been taken down, and they just generally couldn't survive. Now, did the landlords use this to their advantage? Perhaps. Because if all the bars were shutting and going away, it gave them a perfect opportunity to look at the real estate they had, look at the size of the land, and sell it to a developer. Because what has happened, what has been very, very clear and very evident, and if you look around the city centre when you come over here, or if you're here right now, what you will see is there's been some huge developments, some big, big new projects being built. And that's an indication as to what the future is here, rather than what the past was. I think now we're going to find that the city's going to change. I personally think that maybe you're going to look at Beach Road, it's going to be family friendly. Walking Street, to a degree. I think all the entertainment zones are going to be huddled into the Soi Buakhao, Tree Town, Soi Chaiyapoon area, you know, all around this area. I think that's where the main hub of the activity is going to be. And if it does happen, you know, at the end of the day, we've got to embrace it. We can't fight against it, because you're not going to get anywhere. You've got to embrace the changes that are coming, and the changes that are coming, I don't think are necessarily all that bad. You know, it's quite nice to have everywhere together. So I don't know. We'll have to see what happens and where it goes. A lot of business had to reinvent themselves. You know, what was a bar suddenly became a restaurant in order to tick the box to be allowed to open. And now they're going back to being bars. And the future is that there's a discussion coming up very soon where they're looking at allowing the bars now to open until 2 AM legally. So, you know, we are moving step forwards. We are trying to embrace this change. And luckily now we're at the stage where I think, in all fairness, it's just become, look guys, it is what it is. We've just got to get on with it now. Let's just keep moving forward, rather than, you know, tiptoeing around and looking in the back and think, oh, you know, what about this, what about this? We've just got to get on with it. Where we are right now is we're in a bit of a quandary, because I've made mention to this many, many times. If you come out right now, 100%, I guarantee you're going to have a good time. What I also will guarantee is that it's nothing like it used to be in terms of the busyness of the city. There is nothing like the tourism that we used to have and that we've enjoyed over the last 20, 30 years. However, you are going to have a good time. But the problem is now, and this is a big problem for the bars, is because they're trying to attract the girls. The girls are saying, well, hang on, you don't have enough customers, so why do I need to come back right now? Because you don't have enough customers. The customers are coming thinking, this is great, look how many girls are in the bar, and I'm on my own. So it's a real difficult situation, a bit of a quandary, because the girls want to come back when you guys come out here, and you guys want to come out here when you can and all the restrictions are over. It's just a bit of a mess right now, to be honest with you. But what has also happened is it's affected the pricing. You know, the girls are now the ones in control in many ways, because they're saying, well, if you want me to work here, boss, you need to pay me. So it's very, very tough right now, and I don't know where it's going to go. You know, a lot of you guys are talking about the cost of pricing here, the bar fines and the costs. Yeah, it's going through the roof. It really is, and in many ways, potentially outpricing the market. But it may just be a spike. It may settle down eventually. I think it will, but right now it's a bit of a toughie. Travel restrictions, fuel increases, cost of living, prices are rising, the online income girls can derive. These are all massive, significant things that are affecting the recovery here in the city. Where it will go, your guess is as good as mine. How quickly we will recover, again, your guess is as good as mine. But all these factors are really making an impact in the city here, and not just here, but around. We seem to be struggling a little bit, if I'm being totally honest with you. I think Phuket and Bangkok seem to have been steps ahead of us. We seem to be a little bit still 2 or 3 steps behind the rest. But fingers crossed we will get through this very, very quickly. The prices, obviously the fuel has gone through the roof. That in turn, I was talking yesterday to a couple of guys, and they were talking about the cost of flight prices. It's just ridiculously expensive. So again, will that affect the recovery? Because quite rightly, and I totally understand it, why would you pay twice the fare that you used to pay just to come out here when the city's nowhere near as busy as it used to be? All these things lead into each other. They all network through each other. So it is a bit of a quandary that you've got to decide through and think, well, shall I do it or not? Now, the last part is when. When will we recover, and what will you be coming out to? People keep saying to me, and I read these comments, Pattaya's finished, it's over, it's done and dusted. Absolutely 1,000,000% not. I'm not just trying to convince you to come out here. It doesn't bear anything to me in resemblance of financial gain or anything like that. I'm just simply saying to you guys, come out here. I promise you, you will have a good time. Go onto our Discord group, have a look in there, see the comments. You will see for yourself. People that go on our bar crawls, they have a fantastic time. If you come out here now, it is going to be a fun time, 100%. I think this year is going to be steady, but I think it's going to be very limited. I think that people will still start to come over. I don't know about the Christmas this year. I'm not quite sure where we'll be with this one, and I guess in time we're going to find out. But I think this year will be relatively steady. I don't think it's going to be a mass recovery where people go, yes, we can travel, let's go. There are talks right now of bending the mandate to wear a mask. There are talks now about dropping the mandatory $10,000 insurance cover. There are a lot of things stepping in the right direction that when they do happen will be significantly improving the chances of you guys coming out here. So again, it's a waiting game. We've just got to be patient, and we want you to come out here. You will have a good time, but we just don't know when. For me, I think next year. I think next year is going to be a great year. I think a lot of these new developments, these new builds, the new bars, there's loads of new bars springing up all over the place. There's a lot of new things happening in this city, and it's an exciting time. It really is, because when they're all full, done and concluded, and all the stuff's in place, I think the city's going to be fantastic. I really do. It really is a great place to come to. So again, patience, patience, patience. See what happens when it's all done and dusted, and then make your decision. I think 2023, we're going to see a new city born. I think it's going to be fun. It's going to be enjoyable. It's going to definitely change. And those of you guys that have been coming out a long, long time, you're going to look around and go, wow, there's been some changes. Now, I've agreed to do this soy by soy walk, And when I agreed to do it, I didn't really sort of understand what I was taking on, the task that I was undertaking. It was a huge task. But I tell you what was good was a lot of people saying to me, do you know what's really nice when you do the soy by soy by soy, is the fact that we can look at what it is now and refer to it how it used to be. And in a few years' time, we can look back and say, wow, look at the changes that have happened in the short period of time now when Trevor was walking around this soy and that soy and looking over here. So it is going to be a bit of fun. I'm going to do it. Bear with me. I think I've got about 8,000 soys to do, and I've done about 10. But I'm going to get there, so don't worry. We're going to just do it one step at a time. Soy by soy by soy, and what I'll do is I'll break it up and bring in some interviews and some other stuff during the weeks as well, just to try and make it not too monotonous for you. All right, so there we are, guys. To me, you know, we've had our arse handed to us on a plate here. We've had a right kicking. Things have gone desperately wrong here. Things have been, you know, catastrophic in terms of the destruction that it's caused. But you know what? We're still here, and we're going to stay here, and we're going to move forwards. I want you guys to be part of it. I want you guys to come out here and enjoy it. If you don't believe me and you think I'm just bigging it up for some whatever reason, have a look in Discord, chat amongst yourselves, ask the questions to guys in there that are out here or have been out here, and just ask those questions, guys. Yes, I appreciate right now travel is a little bit bad and costly and all the rest of it, but hopefully, fingers crossed, that will sort itself out in the not too distant future. But until then, guys, you know, keep the faith, get out here. I promise you, you will have a good time, 100%. All right, well, that's it from me, guys. Thank you very much for watching, and please drop your comments below. What do you think? Where will the city be in 2023? Will it be this year? Will it be next year? What are your plans, guys? Let me know. Thank you very much for watching, guys. Please, as always, remember, hit the subscribe button and also the bell icon if you'd like to be notified when I bring out a new video. Check out Discord, like I've mentioned to many times now. Get on there, totally free of charge, over 16,000 members. Ask all the questions you could possibly think about, and trust me, you'll find the answers there. And if you'd like to support the work we do here on the channel, there is a link to our members area down below, and membership starts from as little as 89 pence a month. All right, there you go. Thank you very much for watching, guys, and please, as always, wherever you are in the world, stay safe.